Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to spend some time on the Tesec NSG4070. We'll begin the video by going over a little bit about the system, then we'll move to the connections on the front and the back of the unit, and finally we'll go ahead and we'll start the system up and take a look at modifying some different testing criteria using the front panel display. The Tesec NSG4070 model we're going to be using for today's video is the Tesec NSG4070 C2-80 model, which is mainly used for IEC 61000-4-6 testing, as it has an 80 watt built-in amplifier from 150 kilohertz to 230 megahertz. Regardless of the amplifiers that are built into the 4070 itself, all the systems will have an integrated signal generator with a frequency of 4 kilohertz to 1 gigahertz and 3 power meter inputs with the same frequency range of 4 kilohertz to 1 gigahertz. Let's go ahead now and let's take a brief look at the different versions of the NSG4070 test system. Alright, so now we're looking at the different options for power amplifiers. This chart is found on page 2 of the datasheet and lists the different models along the left and then the common requirements along the top. You can see there's a variety of different options ranging from 35 watts to 110 watts and above. For today's video, we're interested in the NSG4070 C80, and as you can see working down the row, it provides an estimated 30 volts using the CDN method, 22 volts using the EM clamp method, and then 8 volts with the current injection probe method. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll put a link for the datasheet in the description below. Let's go ahead now. Let's take a little closer look at the front of the unit. Here you'll find the front of the NSG4070 system. Let's go ahead now and let's start from the left and let's work our way right. All the way on the left of the unit, we have our RF out and amplifier in connections. You can see right now we have the jumper in place as we're only using the internal amplifier. Below that we have our amp out. As we work our way right, we have the 3 power meter channels. Power meter channel 1 is intended for adjusting the target value and for connection to the current monitoring probe. Channels 2 and 3 can be used to measure forward and reverse power with an external dual directional coupler. For additional information on integrating external amplifiers, go ahead and check out the other video we made on how to do that, and I'll put a link for that in the description below. As we continue right, we have our display and then the soft keys directly to the right of it. Next to that, we have our numeric keyboard as well as our hold, stop, and then our arrow keys. Just above the turnstile, we have our hard keys that are relative to specific functions. Finally, all the way in the lower right corner, we have our USB and power switch. Let's go ahead now and let's get the unit turned around and take a look at the backside. Let's go ahead and let's start from the left side and let's work our way right. In the lower left-hand corner, we have the power supply connection. Working our way higher on the unit, there we have our fuse, user port, and RS-232 connections. As we work our way right, we have a series of optical connections and our LAN. When using the NSG4070 with the software, you can use the RS-232 optical connection to the USO4013 converter, which we'll cover in more detail in another video. Vertically, in the middle of the unit, we have a series of BNC connections, the first of which is the analog input, then digital input, external modulation, 10 megahertz, and finally trigger. Let's go ahead now and let's get the system started up and take a look at the display. Here's the starting display on the Tesec NSG4070. You can see on the display the model is indicated as well as the amplifier right there in the center of the display. We're going to be using the NSG 4070 C2-80 as we mentioned, and we're going to go over some of the most commonly used functionality from the front panel display. Let's go ahead now and let's click on Immunity Mode. This is essentially going to be the test mode menu. You can see the screen's broken out into a few different sections. In the upper left, we have our test level section, which is currently set at 5 volts. Working our way right, we have our coupling device where we have CDN selected and our IEC 61000-4-6 standard. All the way on the right, we have our amplifier, and just as we mentioned earlier, it is set at internal. Below that, we have our sweep criteria, and then finally, all the way at the bottom, we have the modulation. To change the different criteria, go ahead and hit Test Setup in the upper right corner. And then this is where you can change the different criteria. So let's go ahead and let's change the test level from 5 volts to 10 volts. So let's go ahead and select the upper right button for test level. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit Start. And we're going to change that to 10 volts. And we're going to hit Enter. Now let's change the stop to 10 volts as well. Excellent. Now let's hit the back button. Now we're on our main display again. Let's click the coupling device. And you can see right here, there's a list of different standards. We have IEC 61000-4-6, ISO 11451 and 452, as well as MIL standard 461. Let's go ahead and click the IEC requirement for today's video. And let's change that from CDN to EM clamp. And then we're not going to use a probe. Let's go ahead and hit back now. All right, so let's go back one more. And then when you're ready, we're back to our main immunity menu page. You can see the third option down right there. We have calibration, so let's select that. And then you go ahead and go to system calibration and then hit the upper right for start calibration. All right, that should complete the video today on the Tesec NSG 4070. We began the video by walking through a little bit about the unit. Then we moved to the connections in the front and the back. And then finally, we changed some testing criteria using the front panel display. We hope this video has been useful, and please keep us in mind if you ever need to rent the Tesec NSG 4070.